Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Friday! I want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as season. Got a word for you. Tap in. Happy Friday, guys. So I want to piggyback off of the community post that I posted last night in regards to not discounting yourself. And when you know what you carry, don't listen. You ain't about to play with me all kind of way, right? So I basically posted, okay, so my dad called me on last night, and he was annoyed. He was frustrated. I could pick it up in his spirit. I kept asking him, what was wrong. Fast forward, so people have been basically lowballing him. So he would give the individual his price when it comes down to his business. And, especially our folks, you know how they do it. They kept like counteracting in lowballing him. And so he would accept it. And so he was telling me that he hired, he said, a young guy to start helping him because I guess the load is, getting a little too heavy, et cetera, et cetera. So he said that he only, I won't say how much, but he straight lowball his help. So he said he lowball his help because he just didn't have enough money where they both could split the costs, etc., etc. So after listening to him and really hearing him, then I said, Dad, okay, first and foremost, after you spoke about this guy who you hired, the first thing you said that he is amazing. His work is amazing, and he's much younger. I think maybe 20s. My dad is 70, 71. So he said the guy is amazing when it comes down to his work ethic. But he still lowballed the guy because of what he was paid from the customer. And then he said, he said when he paid the guy was like, listen here, you want to give me more than this, right? And then my dad was like, well, I can't give you more than this because see, look, I'm showing you the money that I was given. So if I give you this, basically, I'm not going to have any money, et cetera, et cetera. And he said that the guy was annoyed, and that was that. So in his mind, he really felt like he wasn't going to give the guy any more money. But his concept was based around the fact that the customer lowballed him. I said, well, Dad, to be fair here, okay, I hear you. Honestly, I do. But you lowballing your worker has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that the customer lowballed you. That's all on you. Because once you set your price, you have to consider how much you have to pay the help. Okay, this guy's time is not based on the fact that you are allowing people to discount you. So if you were to set a certain price, either they meet that price or they don't. So you can honor and respect the young guy who has helped you. Right? So that meant, truth be told, from a business standpoint, if that means that you had to give him all the money, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. I hear you, Daddy. True. I get it because it's almost make it seem as if you work for nothing. But that's what happens many a times when it comes down to business. Many times bosses have to work for free. I have worked for free. I can't tell you how many times, right? It is what it is. But you got to take care of your people, especially because you said the guy did an amazing job. He was on time. Even though he's young, he was on time, and he was this, he was that, and he was one of the best workers you've seen yet. Okay, so you're telling me that you've had some half behind workers. I'm not saying that to him, but I'm speaking in general here. You've had some half behind workers who didn't show up on time, who didn't even want to be there, right? So you had to let them go. And now God sent you somebody who has some value, who's young enough to really, because it's hard labor work, who's really showing up and doing his job, and you're going to lowball him because you are allowing other people to lowball you? That's not fair. That's not right. Anytime, Daddy, that God has sent anybody in your life, I don't care who it is, a woman, a man, a worker, whoever, if God has sent that person, and you can tell by the way that the person adds value to your life or whatever you're doing, you honor and you respect that person. Okay? I said, Daddy, think about it. With men in general, right? Especially black men, with men in general, they already feel like they're overlooked. Let it be in, in the corporate world or et cetera, dealing with police, dealing with racism, all like they already feel devalued. And here now this young guy who potentially could have come on and really look up to you and learn some things from you, you're really teaching him that the same way that others devalue him is adequate. Because you're devaluing him. That's not your intentions, of course. That's not your intentions. But you devalued him. He could have been in the street selling dope. He's trying to work. You devalued him because you allow others to devalue you. That's not right. You're going to do what you want to do because you're a whole grown man, but you ask my opinion. And my opinion is you got to come out your pocket and give him. It doesn't matter if he's going to take most of the money. I understand I get what you're saying, right? But you need to go back and you need to really give him what you promised him and what he's worth. And then you learn from that. And next time you know how to set your price and stick to your price. But you're going to have to eat this time. Because if this dude go and leave, which that's what it sounds like, right? Because you don't want to take care of him the way that you should, you know what's going to happen? God is going to send everybody that comes behind him is going to be half behind. Going to be half behind because you didn't respect and you didn't honor what God has sent to you when you asked for help. So that's what basically he actually said. He was like, girl, I don't know how in the world you giving me all this wisdom and I'm supposed to have this wisdom. I'm like, you got exactly what you need, right? Because you give me wisdom. It's just that God gives us sometimes insight to see into the other's situation. Because sometimes, we be hearing what God's saying, but we be trying to like act like we don't hear it. So God will, boom, send somebody slap you right in your face. Hey, get this word, right? Because it's confirmation. So from my understanding, he is going to swing by the guy's house this morning, pay him some additional money, as well as apologize because he didn't want to devalue him, etc., etc. I say all that to say, it doesn't have to be work for you. It can be relationships. It can be marriage. It could be friendships. It could be ministry. Whatever. Whoever can get it. Period. But let me be clear before I even start yapping. You have to be at a certain point in your life to have this mindset, meaning you've already been processed and elevated. Because when I sit back and think about some of the times I've allowed people to lowball me or disrespect me, right? That tells you where you are in life. Because if you can allow somebody to disrespect you in whatever way, they cheat on you, they lie, they do this, they're disloyal, whatever the case may be, and then you accept them back, that's a hit to your self-esteem, confidence, and value each time you decide to let people play with you all kind of way. When you get to a certain point of elevation, when you know what you carry, when you know if I'm in your life, it's going to be an addition. I'm bringing value to your life, right? Not to say you don't already have value, but I'm adding value to your life. So if I walk, you're going to feel it, period. But you can't have that mindset until you really know. And I'm not talking about a mask or a facade. You really know what you carry. You know if I touch it, boom, it's turning to gold, period. If I touch it, it's going to turn to gold, period. Period. That ain't cockiness, that's confidence. If I leave you, the next chick is going to catch hell trying to measure up. You're going to constantly compare her to me, period, right? But you got to have that mindset, and it only will arrive to you when you have truly went through processing, You've allowed God to change your perspective. You allow God to heal you fully. And you now see yourself the way God sees you. You're now tapped in to what it is and however God is using you, right? Your purpose, your calling, etc., etc. Once you get there, you're untouchable. You're unstoppable. But be gentle with yourself if you're not there yet, because it's a process. This is why the process takes so long. The process that we want to rush all the time. Raising my hand over here too, right? The process that we want to rush all the time. We feel like God is ignoring us. We feel like God is just not. God is processing you. In order for you to get to a mindset where you're not even having certain conversations when it comes down to certain offenses, it's because God have already taught you, shown you who you are. This is why also yesterday, this just hit me when I was saying in the recording yesterday on why leveling up is so hard. And I said something in reference to, how did I word it? I know I said something in reference to that mouth ain't going, meaning that constantly clapping back, disrespecting the man in your life, the man that God sent, or just any person for that matter, that God sent. And I said that, well, I actually said, I think this in the comment section versus the recording. I said the only reason why your ex or our exes dealt with mouth and disrespect is because they were just as toxic as you. But when you're elevated, right, you attract elevated people. An elevated person, you can say what you want to say about, oh, you're not going to tell me what to do, and I'm a grown person, and you're just going to have to deal with it. Listen, I promise you, they ain't dealing with it. You know why? Because they know who they are. They know what they carry. They've been elevated. This is the type of man that you're attracting at this point, or a woman, right? At this point, because you're elevated. So you think they're going to allow all that toxic nonsense, that disrespect, that emasculate? You think they're going to really allow that when they know who they are? No. But nobody's going to force you to change or force you to do anything, right? In fact, when it comes down to elevated folks, they're not even about to sit here and go back and forth with you, right? You say what you say, you do what you do. They're picking their keys up and they're walking out the door and may never look back, truth be told. Because they know who they are. They know what they carry. They will walk away. People will walk away from you first before they allow you to disrespect them. This is why when you're elevated, you can meet 1,000 people per day. Maybe 2% is going to stick, if that. Because the majority of people, they're not even elevated enough to catch your perspective on things or whatever. So this is why you hear people say certain things like, when you get to a certain level, you don't really have as much people approach you. I mean, granted, that's definitely true. But I will say that it's not that they don't approach you. It's just that after that first 2 minutes of a conversation, they already know what it is. And they're like, oh, hold up, right? You're still nice. You're still kind. You're still respectful, right? You're still treating everybody like, because everybody is the same at the core, if you will. But you just ain't got time for that petty talk. We'll be going, sir. I don't want to hear how fine I am. I don't want to hear how thick I am. I don't want to hear how intelligent, how wise. Where are we going? Where are you taking me? What's your vision? How can I get behind you? How can I help you? Do you have God first? Doesn't mean you have to have on Stacey Adams, but do you have God first? Do you love God? Is your flesh tame? Because I ain't got time. Period. Kizzy, okay. Woo-cha. Okay, lost my train of thought. So sis, everybody, everybody, honestly. One person is ringing in my head more than anything. He's a gentleman who's on my YouTube channel. See, everything goes back to the core of where you are, how elevated you are. Because you can have the biggest heart in the world, and my God, I fit in that category. Lord, you can have the biggest heart in the world. You can see the best in people all day long. You can understand that nobody's perfect and we all make mistakes. You can understand that some people need people to stick around and don't give up on them. My God, I'm in that category. However, when it comes to assignments versus allowing people to play with me all kind of way. So the point I'm trying to make here is we can have all these things that branch off to say that, I just want to help people, or I just want to, be patient and give people chances after chances because of X, Y, and Z and blah, 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 right? That's all fine and dandy as long as you're not operating from a place where it's pulling from your value, your confidence, your self-esteem. And truth be told, it is indirectly. It is a complete difference when God have you in an assignment, right? An assignment, not just some random stuff you're doing from relationships or just because your flesh, whatever. But when it's an assignment, God have already given you a grace that you can separate that thing from you, right? So it's like, okay, let's say we take Mr. Steve, for example, right? So it's the constant, back and forth about, addiction. He's stopping, he's starting, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm required to give him chance after chance because this is a whole assignment. God knows that this is an assignment that God is about to call him home, and God wants him to start really, getting his life back on track with God. So God needs me to be patient. This is why God gave him more time. They gave him 3 months. He lived a year because throughout that process, God continued to work on him. God continued to grace me as well as others to have that patience with him, because God was doing something between him and Mr. Steve. It was an assignment. So it's not a slap to my confidence or self-esteem because that ain't me, right? That's an assignment. But when it comes down to personal things, when it comes down to relationships, when it comes down to things that I'm called to steward, things like that, you're not about to play with me all kind of way. I'm not no regular chick, period. I know what I carry, period. So if you think you can go and find something to match this, do what you do, boo. Nobody holding, do what you do. Guarantee you will be back, or attempt to come back, I should say. Ain't nothing happening. People like to say things like people don't realize what they had until they're gone. No, people know exactly what they got when they got it. Trust me. They just know that you're going to tolerate certain things. They know that you're going to be afraid to walk away because in your mind, well, if I let him go or her go, I may not find somebody else. If I let her or him go, they may go on to the next person that they were dealing with and she or he's going to get them full time. Let them go. They already got him, obviously. If you're saying that the side chick or the side dude is going to get them full time, they already got him. So what's the argument here? When you know what you are and you know what you carry, you will walk away if that means in your mind you have to be alone for the next 100 years all by yourself versus you allow someone to devalue you. When you know what you carry, when you know who you are, you don't need a person. You need God, but people are a wonderful blessing, a great addition. But each time that person cheats on you, each time that person lies, each time that person uses reverse psychology, it's a hit each time to your confidence, to your self-esteem, to your value, period. I had to fire people in the past who I liked, some even loved immensely. But after one too many times, after several meeting of the minds, right? You're playing with me all kind of way now, right? So you know I'm cool. You know my heart. You know my spirit. So you figure people with good hearts and such and such and such and such, they're just going to keep giving you chance after chance after chance after chance, right? But soon they're going to get a conviction. And that conviction is going to remind them exactly who they are. Who are you playing with? Who are you playing with? So God gave you an opportunity where people out here are looking for valuable people, right? Because valuable people are very, very rare. You got people out here who are searching for people, for jobs, for this. So you mean to tell me God gave you an opportunity to bless you and you won't even honor or respect it? Do you know that's a slap in the face to God? He chose you. He chose you to be a part of a blessing. And you're dishonoring the job. You're dishonoring the person that he calls to steward that thing. You're dishonoring God. But let me tell you something. When God bless you with a certain opportunity, when God bless you with certain people, and you dishonor it, especially when you've been convicted after conviction to get yourself right, when you dishonor it, when God snatches it, or God convicts that person to walk away, or etc., expect to hit a season of drought. You may have came from a season of drought, and God chose you to bless you, and you didn't honor it. You didn't respect it. Prepare for a season of drought again, because God has to now teach you. And I bet again, whenever God decides to open that door after that season of drought, if you learn the lesson, if God decides to bless you again, I bet you talking about honor and respect. You talking about honor and respect. I don't know. I guess, I don't know. I guess some people get it, but they just refuse because they think they're invincible, I guess. Some people get it because they've already been through it, right? I know I have. God will give you something. He's going to watch you. If you disrespect it, if you don't honor it, right? He's going to convict you to get right. If you're wise, you pay attention to the conviction and you get right. But what most people do, they just ignore it because they're just too, maybe because they haven't maybe really had the experience on how God really works. So they just think it is, I can do what okay, well, do what you do, boo. Do what you do, boo. If you pay attention to the convictions and you get right, let it be in that relationship. You might have been slipping in that relationship, or the marriage is slipping. You know you slipping, right? You know you slipping. But then God convicts you. But your flesh still wanna, but God is convicting you. Or you're on that job and you know you ain't doing the right thing, and God is allowing a boss to have grace with you, to try to really work with you, and you're still not respecting and honoring that thing. But if you choose to heed to the conviction and get right, you're going to constantly see elevation. It's not rocket science. People keep saying things like, well, I don't understand, how do some people get elevated and some people this and some people that, and that percentage is so small that people, it seems like it's very, very small. I'm trying to still get there. But I think so far I've kind of got some of the recipe. It's honor. It's respect. It's having a teachable spirit. But most importantly, it's about obedience, paying attention to your convictions, and cleaning up and straightening up the areas that you've been slipping in, right? It's about selflessness. It's about be sure that if God is prompting you, nudging you to do something to help somebody, regardless if you want or don't want to do it, God doesn't send me back. Oh, Jesus, you talking about side eye? God have already sent me back to bless people who I have saying I would have seen them next lifetime. But it's not about you, boo. You ain't that cute, boo. You said you want to be used, boo. Being used don't look like what you want to do, boo. Woo! Let me just tell you. God elevate those who he can trust, who respect the blessings, who are grateful, who are selfless, who have a pure, all caps, pure heart and spirit. We're not talking about your flesh here and your character flaws, right? You'll work on that along the way, but just your heart posture. In saying that, right before I end this, because my spirit is pinging, to those of you who are in those toxic relationships, and you just feel like, well, he just won't do this, and he constantly doing this, and he ain't coming home, or she's not coming home, and this and that. That's not about the person. It is, but it's not. It's not about the person. It's about you. You don't value yourself enough. Because when you value yourself enough, you won't even tolerate that let me tell you something. You won't even have a conversation about certain things. You can just pick your keys up and you're out, period. I'm not about to sit here and have a conversation about why you ain't come home. Why you ain't come home? We're about to have a conversation about why you ain't come home. So it's not about the person. It's about you. Ask God to give you grace to see yourself the way God sees you. Ask God to give you grace to heal all your wounds so you can learn to value yourself. Ask God. Just ask God. Just ask God. Because you're trying to do this thing on your own, and you're trying to put this on or look this way and get this BBL and get this and get this, all because it's like, well, if I look this way or act this way, or for my guys, if I had enough money, she would act right. Ain't got nothing to do with none of that. Honestly, it has nothing to do with any of that. People only do what you allow them to do. They're playing with you all kind of way because you are allowing it. Try me one time, I'm out. Period. One time. One time. Because I know what I carry. Period. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.